Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video on Arrow Season 7, and this is going to be my review for episode 17 for this season, otherwise entitled Inheritance. But of course, if you've not watched the episode, go watch it because some big stuff happens in this episode, like some holy crap in the middle and then holy crap at the end. Wow. Anyway, we'll talk about that throughout the video, but if you've not watched it, go watch it now because, yeah, spoilers. If you did watch it and you're continuing, let me know your opinions down there in the comment section down below about the various revelations that come out in this episode. If you enjoyed the episode and enjoyed my video, be sure to drop a like on it as well to show your support. And if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. So last episode was obviously the Star City 2040 episode. The only thing that really happens of relevance in this episode is right at the end when we see the Archer program launch, and that does play into this episode as well, so yeah. But throughout this episode, we do get Emiko flashbacks. I'm just going to talk about them as they happen in the episode. So the first one is us seeing Emiko when she's younger, and it's when Robert's initially first leaving her and her mother. I thought the child actor for Emiko was fairly decent for a child actor, so I was actually pleasantly surprised there. But obviously Robert is moving on and leaving them, and he's just, forced to move on, and they're forced to move away just due to his company and everything that's going on there. We've heard it all before. We've heard it before this episode, but we actually got to see it play out in this episode. Now, one of the sub-stories in this episode was Laurel versus Emiko. It's basically at the beginning and then the end, but at the beginning we see Laurel actually tracking Emiko, which causes her to get injured, which ends up her basically going to Oliver, Laurel going to Oliver and basically saying, your sister's up to some shady stuff, maybe you should pay attention and maybe track her yourself and see what she's up to. And so Laurel's dobbing and being a bit of a tattletale on Emiko, but I think it's needed. So Oliver doesn't believe her, but then Oliver actually tracks Emiko himself and sees Emiko with Dante go to Parmatech, and they rob Parmatech. And this is when we get the first name drop, finally, because I've been saying it throughout, we've been reviewing this season since Emiko came in, since Dante was brought in, the Ninth Circle. They finally name dropped the Ninth Circle, which was awesome to just hear those wonderful two words, that three-syllabled name. It was wonderful. We finally got it. Now, when they were, Oliver comes into Parmatech and stuff like that, you do see these hooded and masked men. They, they're hooded and masked. They're wearing a lot of black. I'm going to assume this is the show's version of the Underground Men, and it's not going to surprise me at all if one of them ends up being Diaz, or in a future episode, Diaz becomes one of these people that's masked and hooded. We don't see them, one of them unmasked to see a burnt skin or something, but essentially in the comics, they're basically burnt and reborn and become these Underground Men. They're usually lower economical people, or people on the lower side of the economy, or the lowest side of the scale of it. Gonna be interesting to see how they do it in this in the show's interpretation. If Diaz did become one of them, because he was just a criminal and was sort of working with them. So I'll have to wait and see how it all works out. But I'm going to assume they're the Underground Men. And when they do some research on it, they're basically, the Ninth Circle has been around forever. It's been placed throughout different points in history, at various points of changes in regime, different revolutions and stuff like that. So that's pretty interesting. I doubt we'll dive into that more unless Dante has a monologue or something in a future episode. But it's cool that they did some sort of, explaining and historical feature on the Ninth Circle and stuff like that. We did see Elena or whatever her name is, Felicity's friend from season 5. She comes back. Obviously she used to be with Helix, but she comes back to just talk with Felicity, and she ends up joining Smoke Tech. So she's essentially going to be just helping with Smoke Tech, but also probably building Smoke Tech on the side while Felicity's focused on what's happening this season. So it doesn't feel random that Smoke Tech would just, be developed more come end of the season and maybe next season as well. Previously, whenever this character was on screen, I did not like the character at all. It just felt like Felicity 2.0. I was like, why are they the two of the same character? It's still the same thing this time around. It just feels like Felicity 2.0. What's the point of having the same character on screen, like a doppelganger? But the scenes worked. I still think they worked, the relationship between her and Felicity, and I can see what they're going for, so I didn't really care for them. I actually sort of liked them. But we do actually get to see young Emiko actually meet Dante. Now, she's basically a courier in the Glades, as she was delivering a package from the Bertinellis, to Dante. So I'm guessing she was just a courier in the Glades to get money for her mum. I'm guessing that's what it was. And basically tries to steal Dante's watch. Dante's like, if you do it again, your throat's getting slit, mate. And ends up where this is going to lead into some training. So there's the origin of it all. Now, unsurprisingly, we did see Emiko join Team Arrow in this episode. We did see that in the promo images. She was in like this in the bunker and stuff, so it wasn't too surprising. But then also, unsurprisingly, she actually double crosses Oliver and was basically just with him to plant a jammer device to stop Archer from tracking Dante and everything like that. So yeah, a lot of double crossing going on. And it was actually interesting in that fight, Oliver gets Emiko into position where he would just kill them, like snap necks and stuff. And you can sort of see on his face, he was like tossing it up whether he was going to do it or not, and then doesn't do it, and Emiko's able to get away. But yeah, so unsurprisingly, Emiko joins but then double crosses as well. And it's going to be interesting to see if she does a triple cross later on this season. But we do get another flashback scene with Emiko meeting with Robert Queen. I didn't say this before, but it was really cool to have the guy, I can't remember his name off the top of my head. I'm not going to bother sitting here for 20 seconds trying to remember it. But the guy who plays Robert Queen, it was cool to have him back on the show because earlier this season we heard his voice. And we're like, oh, it would have been cool if we actually, saw him. But seeing him actually in this episode in two different scenes was really cool. But we do see him meeting with Emiko, and Emiko's basically presenting Queen materials or whatever it was, and he's just shooting her down and just saying like, Queen consolidated as Oliver's, and I can't have you in the spotlight because I still can't have people knowing that you're my daughter. Like that's still a thing in his life, and he's still trying to keep down and to keep secret. All unknown to Robert that Theo is actually not his daughter. Oh, actually, he sort of, anyway, ignore I said that. But yeah, so he's still shooting her down, and this basically gives you the full-on reason. Like like they really fleshed out in this episode why Emiko hates the Queen family, but also obviously what happened with Robert as well. Like we heard it early this season, what happened, like he abandoned her, but we get to see it firsthand, and also the later experiences between Emiko and Robert, and just why she doesn't, where this anger comes from and where this spite comes from, and you sort of have to agree with it. You can't argue against it. Like, I guess you could say, yeah, it's her father, but her father has basically just flipped the bird to her constantly throughout her life and just constantly shot her down when she is struggling. Oliver's living this, bachelor party boy life, and he's just got basically to have this company handed down to him, and Emiko's working her ass off trying to feed herself and mother and just provide, and Robert's just constantly shooting her down. So you can understand where that hate is just being like just embedded within her. But it was interesting to hear that this conversation, well, it happened just before Robert went on the Queen's Gambit. And we all know what happened on the Queen's Gambit. And we'll talk about that later on because something big happened. But yeah. Now we did have that warehouse scene with those drones that we heard about, which is going to have those like that gas in it. I thought this scene was a bit of a letdown. Didn't think too much happened here. Just seemed like a throwaway scene. Not much going on. Didn't really care for it too much, but it happened, so I have to mention it, I guess. Obviously, one of the drones went away, and it did go off, but it was just a test, and like the cloaking drones, but then Felicity was able to take out the cloaking, but not be able to turn the drones off. I'm going to assume it's like when she hacked the missile back in season 4, and she blew up Haven Rock. I'm going to assume it's like how she could direct the missile, but she couldn't like make the missile go into like elsewhere and just explode in midair or something like that. So you can hack stuff, you just can't hack it completely. I'm going to assume that's what it was, and why she could take away the cloaking but couldn't say like take over the drones completely. I don't know. But we do see Laurel, as I said before, Emiko versus Laurel basically happened at the beginning and the end. And at the end, we see Laurel Lance exposed by Emiko. She provides that photo of her with Diaz. And I did see the promo for next episode, which is like 3 weeks away. We're on a bit of a break after this episode. But yeah, Laurel's not handling it well, but we'll talk about that in my trailer breakdown for next episode later on in like 12 hours or 16 hours from now, something, whatever. But the big like, oh, crap, that connects it, is that we find out that Emiko was the one that placed the bombs on the Queen's Gambit, and like the invoice was from Malcolm Merlyn. So she was the one that actually placed the bombs there. Wow. Like it's interesting, like the whole like she knew about it from that meeting with Robert, but just learning it there, I was like, holy crap, am I misreading that, or did she invoice Malcolm Merlyn to do it? I'm pretty sure she was the one that did it. Anyway, whatever. she's involved with it, but I'm pretty sure from the end scene it seems like she's the one that placed the bombs and all of that, but it could have been the other way around. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure she was the one that placed the bombs. But holy crap. And then they also say that she's actually the leader of the Ninth Circle. At least she has authority over Dante. I'm sort of, I saw people blowing up about that, but I'm just like, okay, interesting. I'd like to see where that goes. Because we still have 18, 19, 20, 21. We still have 5 episodes left this season. You know, I'm sure it will be further explained in those episodes to come. But I was sort of like, oh, okay, she's the leader. That's a bit of a twist, and that she's actually had authority over Dante for some period of time. So it'll be interesting to see where that goes. I saw people hating on it, but for me, I'm like, well, she could have. Like, if she's just seen as a better person to fit that position, then I don't see the issue in that, but hopefully they explain that in episodes to come. But yeah, overall, I thought it was actually a pretty decent episode. There was like bits in the middle I didn't really care for. To be honest, the Laurel and Dinah stuff, some of it I really didn't care for. Obviously, it was sort of done to set up what's going to happen with Laurel and how she basically just loses it. But it still could have been done a bit better. I didn't think it was handled that great. But everything else outside of that I thought was pretty well done. I actually enjoyed this episode. The Ninth Circle introduction, the various things with Emiko, the flashbacks with Emiko and Robert. Really enjoyed them, and I can't wait to see what happens going forward, even though we're on a bit of a break now. But thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, it'd be awesome if you could drop a like and it shows support. Let me know in the comment section down below your various opinions on this episode. Did you love it? Did you hate it? All of that. And if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. I'll catch you later, guys. Goodbye.